Hey guys, it's Fraser here from BL Rugby Club. Today I wanted to share with you a little bit of information about the YoYo Intermittent Recovery Test Level 1 because that's what we use to assess aerobic capacity at the start of the season. Now sure, we sprinkle in a bronco here and there as well, and we can talk about the validity of both of these things for rugby players. At the end of the video, I'll give you my 2 cents on it. But for right now, let's break down the yo-yo. So as you can see, the test starts slow. It starts at 10 kilometers per hour and the boys simply have to shuttle 20 meters and back, keeping in time with the beeps. Now this is an intermittent test, so as you'll see, when they arrive at the start line, they have to walk 5 meters to a cone and then walk back and come to a complete stop before they go again at the sound of the beep. Now this test just goes up through the levels and gets faster and faster. It's a maximal test, so the test is over when the person cannot complete the distance in time with the beeps. And it's pretty much that simple, guys. The recovery time never changes. You've always got 10 seconds on this test to cover the 5 meters and back. But of course the speed changes on the shuttle, starting slowly and getting progressively faster and faster. Once you get to level 14, there's always 8 shuttles to complete. So there'll be 8 shuttles with the same speed, and then you progress on to the next level. So it's a great way to assess aerobic capacity. Now at the far side of the shuttle, if they miss the beep, doesn't matter too much. It just means they're off the pace at the start. As long as their foot gets to the line and they complete the distance and they get back in time to the start line in the beep, then they're okay. Obviously though, if you start to see that, it means someone's struggling, and that's when you start paying attention if you need to give a warning or have someone drop out of the test. Again, this is a test, so it's maximal. So we're looking at aerobic capacity in this test, and it's a bit different from the bronco. You can't really have a pacing strategy, you just kind of have to stick in time with the beep. And you have to come to a dead stop before you go, which kills momentum and it makes it hard to get going again, which we can all relate to if we've played rugby before, when you're really gassed out and you're at the side of a ruck and you're just knackered, but you got to go again. I'm not saying that it's super specific to rugby, but what I am saying is it measures aerobic capacity, and I like that component where there's just a stop and then the players have to go in time with the beep. Also as a coach, I like the last man standing element to it, okay? So this is maximal, you just have to keep going until you're the last guy there, and then just keep going until you just can't go anymore. And I really like that, especially when you're getting a new squad together. It creates a bit of camaraderie, it creates competition, and these are things we're looking for at the start of pre-season, as well as obviously getting a gauge on aerobic capacity. So I've spoken at length about aerobic capacity and why that is important. You should check out this video if you're unsure how to get fit for rugby. I also break down why it's important to be fit for rugby. People often get confused with training transfer and specificity, and oh my goodness, if there's not a ball in there, if we're not following the shape of attack, then this isn't specific to rugby. That's okay, that's okay. It doesn't have to be specific for rugby at this point in the season, in pre-season. And also, you're trying to remove degrees of freedom to understand someone's true physical capacity, whether it's aerobic or strength or power, whatever. You're trying to get just the raw capacity to inform your program and make them better on field. So you need to understand that so you can take the steps to maximize physical performance for the pitch. So let's take a step back and look at why assess aerobic capacity in a really easy way, like the bronco or the yo-yo, or there's other tests out there. But one of the things that I do after a test is sit down, look at our pre-season or our training plan for the week and the weeks, all right? I look at who's off the pace aerobically, and I'll be going to the coach, this guy's gonna struggle. This guy's he's gonna have some sort of niggle, something's gonna come in because he's gonna struggle because he's so unfit. Well, but it's not rugby specific fit, so what do you mean? We're just going to be doing rugby, we're not going to be running from cone to cone. That's not specific. No, it's not specific, but your aerobic capacity is related to recoverability and how well you recover from training session to training session. So that alone, forget everything else, but that alone, that little snapshot, that little information, that gives you, okay, this guy's not done the work, he's off the pace, we're going to have to make a decision on this. What are we going to do? Are we going to give him more off-feet stuff? Are we going to have a chat with them? And then that becomes an individual program, and you know that the player might be reprimanded, he might be let go, it depends on the contract, the situation. But suffice to say, you're taking the information and you're using it, and it's informing and guiding your training. It just doesn't make sense to have someone do the same workload that's way off the pace as someone that's where they should be, because the person that's way off the pace is going to be really struggling, even on the low days when you've programmed a low day, because his recoverability is so poor, because his aerobic capacity is so poor. So just with that point, we want a test that gives you a clear indicator of someone's aerobic capacity, because then it informs the training and who's going to struggle and who's not going to struggle. Obviously, the fitter you are, the quicker you recover from session to session, but also in the game. So it just gives you a really easy snapshot. It gives you a black and white, it gives you a number, it gives you something you can work with. Nobody's saying there isn't room for specificity, and guess what? The activities you should be doing to get fitter should be with the rugby ball and conditioning games and small-sided games and specific drills and tasks. But to get a picture of where you are, doing an aerobic capacity test is a good thing. But anyway guys, sometimes these tests get dismissed and critiqued by influencers, and that's fine. It's good to critique tests, and that's how we make things better. But just to be clear on information as to why we do it. And the last ace card that I have is if you look at the All Blacks coming into an assembly week, not to use like one of the top teams in the world as an example, but that's exactly what I'm going to do. In their assembly week of pre-season, they're doing the Bronco, they're getting a gauge on the guys' aerobic capacity, they'll do their CMJs, they'll do a bunch of other tests to see where the guys are at. And that's just part and parcel of understanding a physical capacity, that you need to know where your players and where your group is at, so you can then make appropriate training interventions, which will always be with the rugby field in mind. And of course, as you can see, we do the same here at BLF Rugby. Guys, again, if you have any doubts about training transfer or specificity, check out this video here. It'll clear things up for you. Again, if you're interested in rugby fitness, the whys, a couple of example programs that you can do, then check out this video here, and that will help you. All right, and there's also there's two videos. I'm going to link this one and this one, so check them both out, and that will give you some good ideas. This is more repeat effort fitness, and this is more your classic aerobic capacity work. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in one of these videos. Thank you. Cheers.